At this place in history, we're on Route 2 in Danville with Steve Perkins, the Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society. Steve, a Depression-era crime that took place directly across the street from us, so what brings us here?
Oh, absolutely, Mike. That is the old Caledonia National Bank right there, and we're talking gangsters, their gals, and bank robbery. We're going to go inside. The daughter of the clerk that was on duty, Patty Conley's going to tell us all about it.
So it was just a normal Monday on June 4th, 1934, and there were 4 people working at the bank, and one of the ladies looked up and all of a sudden she sees a gentleman come in, and he's dressed like a farmer. He has coveralls on, a straw hat. She didn't think too much about it at first, but then she thought to herself, he doesn't look like a regular customer of the bank. Maybe he's new in town. So then it wasn't long after that he made his way back through into the area where the employees were working.
Kind of where we're standing.
Kind of where we're standing right now, and all of a sudden he shouts, "Okay, everybody lay on the floor." My dad was working in a back office, and they made their way in and said, "Get up, little fella, we're going into the vault." There had not been a bank robbery in Vermont for over 50 years. Sometime in May, before the robbery happened, there was a national crime bill signed that made bank robberies a federal crime. So the FBI was called in the next day.
Local authorities needed, in some form or fashion, to kind of prod the FBI early on in their investigation to turn their attention a specific way.
Right. The local sheriff, Fred Flint, was, of course, notified immediately. He was talking with the employees, and they were sort of describing the robbers, and he suggested to the FBI when they came the next day that maybe he could bring in this binder with all the most wanted men in it that somebody might recognize. And they sort of put him off and said, right, national bank robbers, they're not going to be interested in a little bank like Danville. But they kind of they complied, and they let him show the binder, and sure enough, it wasn't long before at least a couple of the employees recognized Eddie Bentz. He was part of a widely known gang of bank robbers that were pretty much centered in Chicago. There were 3 of them. Eddie Bentz and Avery Simons were the 2 that came in. Clyde Emmerich stayed outside in the getaway car. They apprehended Eddie Bentz first, and then a couple of years later, they caught up with Avery Simons.
It wasn't until 1940 that Clyde Emmerich ended up getting caught.
Absolutely, and then he was brought back to Burlington, and he was tried in Burlington.
A lot of changes were made to the bank.
The teller windows were no longer completely open. They were fitted with bulletproof glass and turnstiles. The biggest addition to security for the bank was this whole electrified system of spikes and wires.
So if people want to learn more about this, there's a lot more to this story.
Yes.
You've done a lot of writing on this. How can they learn more?
Well, they can certainly access articles that were written. There was a series of articles written in the North Star monthly paper. Contact the Danville Historical Society at our website, danvillevthistorical.org.
The first bank robbery the FBI ever investigated at this place in history.